Could you give me a little bit of background for those who don't know you?
Well, I'm sure I'm well known by a lot of people.
Right.
I've certainly been around. I've been in Salem, New Hampshire since I was 16 years old. I came to Rockingham Park with my father to become a jockey. And I've been in Rockingham Park ever since the day I was 16 until the time that they sold it to Joe Perro. In fact, at the time I was sitting on the zoning board. He was, as much as I was against it, sorry to see it go because I'm a true horseman.
Right.
Been in the racetrack all my life. I've been the outrider at the racetrack, saved a lot of lives. I've trained up to 50 head of horses at one time at Rockingham Park. I had one special horse that was in my barn called Debrett. He was the son of Secretariat. And at the time I was stabled at Suffolk Downs when they were rebuilding Rockingham Park to reopen. Suffolk Downs wanted me to run Debrett in a stake race at Suffolk Downs, and I told them no. I wasn't running there. So the following day I had a written notice to take my horses off the grounds. At that time I contacted Joe Connie, God rest his soul, and told him what the situation was. He says, bring all your horses to the racetrack today.
Excellent, excellent.
And the track was half built, but he did. The following day I brought up 40 horses up there in stable at Rockingham Park.
Wow.
And this horse Debrett, like I said, he was the first son of Secretariat. We all knew who Secretariat was.
Right.
And I was praying that opening day that he wouldn't let me down. And opening day came and Debrett won by many.
Excellent.
Just like his father did.
Oh, that's great.
Which
that's
was
great.
a good turnout. But I had Debrett 9 years, and Debrett won 36 races for me. Nothing exceptional. He was nothing like Secretariat, but he was a cheap allowance horse.
Yeah.
But he was a good horse, and he definitely paid his own way.
Right.
So in the meantime, I kept the stable opened up for a while, and then when the problem between Rockingham Park and the horsemen. Now, people could give you different stories of why the thoroughbreds left Rockingham Park. I'll tell you why the horses left Rockingham Park.
All right.
We have an organization called the HBPA. It's the Horsemen's Protections Bolivians Association. Rockingham Park was having a hard time. Money, with money and having tough times. So little did the horsemen know which we were supposed to have a meeting with the entire HBPA board. They went behind the horsemen and said if they dropped the purses that Rockingham Park would not run no thoroughbreds. Which they never came back and told the horsemen that. So the horsemen were pretty upset. So they called Ed Callahan's bluff. And God bless Ed Callahan because he was Rockingham Park. He gave the horsemen every opportunity to keep live racing there. And they would accept it. So at that time there, they closed Rockingham Park. And when they did close it, it was about 2 months later, I went up and had a conversation with Ed Callahan and asked Ed if he would consider running one day of 8 races on the grass. Just one day, which was on a Sunday. And he agreed to do it. Well, I gotta tell you something. That one day of racing on the grass with the thoroughbreds did over $1.5 million that day. It was a very good day. And we knew it was the last time we were going to be there. And of course they all waved goodbye and so forth. And then they brought the trotters in.
Right.
And I was the marshal for the trotters. In other words, the outrider. If they got loose, I had to catch them. Or if they hesitate going to the gate, I'd bring them to the gate. Sometimes I'd find myself in the race. It was funny.
Yeah.
But
sort of forced into it, right?
I had no choice. That was my job. But then the trotters, they went downhill as well.
Yeah.
And they just couldn't afford it. So at that time there, I was a state representative in Concord, and I was in the state rep up there for 8 years as your state rep. And I fought very, very hard for the millennium to, take over Rockingham Park and put racing back with the casino. And it kind of hurt because we lost the vote by 1. And it really hurt. And I won't give you the reasons why, but it didn't work in our favor. So Joe Farrell at that point there bought the racetrack under different conditions that there'd be absolutely no gambling at the racetrack. So anyway, I took odd jobs. I opened a restaurant here in Salem.
Right.
Had it open for 8 years. And it was a very good restaurant. Everything was homemade. It was a nice little restaurant, cozy, breakfast, lunch, dinner. Probably some of the best meals in town. And when the COVID hit us, it was tough. A gentleman came by and offered me a price for the restaurant. And I accepted it, and I closed down the Rockingham Diner. And I got to thinking, my daughter was in Kentucky. She had horses down there. And I said to my girlfriend, who I've been with now for 10 years, very lovely person, Baba Valenkas, my other half.
Mm-hmm.
And we did a lot of thinking, and we did a lot of talking, and she knew horse racing was my passion.
Right.
And I said, there's nothing left here in Salem for me. I think it's time for us to move on. I wasn't encouraged by what they're doing at Rockingham Park. I kind of cry when I go by there. It might be better for the town. It might not be better. We don't know yet. That it remains to be seen. But the traffic out there is horrible. Maybe it'll change. I don't see it. I think it's time for Salem, New Hampshire to become a city. With that, we've grown to that point where it should be a city.
You're right.
And if I was to stay here in town, I would fight to make it a city. But I love Salem. I've always loved Salem. I've had my ups and I've had my downs. A lot of people like me. A lot of people don't like me for different reasons. A lot of it's jealousy. And the cases that I went through are criminal cases, which are false. And anybody at this point in time can look up at my record, and you'll find that I have no record whatsoever.
Yeah.
Any kind of a criminal record. We know that the problem I had with my niece was fraudulent, which was taken care of, and she's moved on, and she's now raising 3 kids of her own.
Oh yeah.
And my kids are all doing very well. I'm very proud of them all.
That's great.
And now it's just me and my girlfriend Barbara, and
So Barbara's going with you?
me and Barbara, she's my other half. Yes, we've been
Yeah,
together a long
so
time.
she'll be going to Kentucky with you.
She'll be going
Yeah.
to Kentucky with me, right?
Great.
We've already bought a home down there. Like I said, I have horses there already, and I'm going down to do what I do best, and that's train horses.
That's great.